At 75 years old, André Rieu dances across the stage with the energy of a man half his age, his violin singing beneath his chin as thousands cheer in unison. The King of Waltz isn't just performing music. He's orchestrating a financial empire that has left entertainment industry experts astounded and will one day leave his family with an inheritance of staggering proportions. While other classical musicians struggle in an era dominated by pop culture, Rieu consistently outsells major contemporary artists like Bruce Springsteen, Coldplay, and Justin Bieber. His live performances have generated an astonishing $550 million in total earnings, making him Billboard's highest-grossing classical artist of all time. With over 700 performances under his belt, bringing in more than $300 million, Rieu has proven that classical music can be both culturally significant and commercially viable. "I never set out to be rich," Rieu once confided during a rare interview about his finances. "I simply wanted to share my love of music with as many people as possible. The fortune came as a consequence of following my passion." André Rieu's remarkable journey from obscurity to international stardom reads like a Hollywood script. Born in Maastricht, Netherlands, to a conductor father, music was always in his blood, but few could have predicted the empire he would build. His first professional venture, the Maastricht Salon Orchestra, began in 1978 with minimal fanfare. But the true foundation of his empire was laid in 1987 when he founded the Johann Strauss Orchestra with just 12 musicians who spent 6 months rehearsing, before their first performance on January 1st, 1988. "Those early days were challenging," recalls one of the original orchestra members. "We believed in André's vision, but none of us imagined we would grow into the world's largest private orchestra." That growth has been extraordinary. From those initial dozen performers, the orchestra expanded to 43 musicians by 2008 and currently boasts 75 full-time members, each one personally selected by Rieu himself. This massive ensemble requires an equally impressive support staff. "I need $1 million a month only to pay everybody without touring," Rieu explained in a candid moment about his business operations. "So you can imagine when we tour, it's even much more. I have 110 people on my payroll and then another 100 who work for me on a freelance basis. It's a huge family." For any success story, there's usually a pivotal moment when everything changes. For André Rieu, that moment came in 1995 during an international football match in Amsterdam. In a bold marketing move that would make today's influencers envious, Rieu purchased 60 seconds of live television time during halftime. With millions watching, he performed Shostakovich's Waltz No. 2, a piece that would become his signature. The next week, he sold 200,000 CDs. "Ajax did me a huge favor and scored just before halftime," Rieu reminisced with a smile. "That 1-minute performance transformed me from an unknown violinist into someone people recognized on the street." The media quickly dubbed him the modern king of waltz, a title that would define his brand for decades to come. Television appearances and European tours followed, each more successful than the last. By the turn of the millennium, André Rieu had become a household name across Europe and was rapidly gaining popularity in North America, Australia, and Asia. What makes Rieu's commercial success particularly remarkable is how he achieved it by breaking nearly every unwritten rule of classical music performance. You know that solemn atmosphere you find in the concert hall with classical music and how it intimidates most people and keeps them away? With us, it is simply not there, Rieu proudly states. Instead of demanding silence and rigid formality, his concerts encourage audience participation. People sway to the rhythm, hum along with familiar melodies, and applaud whenever they feel moved. Behaviors traditionally frowned upon in classical venues. Critics from the classical establishment have sometimes dismissed his performances as schmaltzy or lacking in sophistication. Rieu embraces these criticisms with characteristic good humor. "I'm trying to create a Gesamtkunstwerk where music, dance, and costumes all add up to a magical evening," he explains, using the German term for a total artwork that engages all the senses. "If that's schmaltzy, then I'm proud to be schmaltzy." This vision has resonated with millions of fans worldwide. Unlike traditional orchestras that depend on government subsidies, institutional support, or wealthy donors, Rieu's enterprise stands on its own financial feet. The biggest part is the tickets, but the DVDs are very, very important, he notes about his revenue streams. The maestro has sold more than 40 million albums and recorded 50 albums throughout his career, each contributing to his growing fortune. While many celebrities purchase luxury mansions or penthouse apartments, André Rieu acquired something far more unique, a 16th century castle in the heart of his hometown, Maastricht. The castle, known as Huis de Torrentiers, House of the Small Turrets, wasn't initially part of Rieu's investment plans. "We were on holiday in the south of France when our accountant called that the front side was for sale," recalls his wife Marjorie. "We weren't really looking for it, but then again, the chance doesn't come along very often." Interestingly, Rieu had a childhood connection to the property. He took piano lessons there as a young boy, though the memories weren't entirely pleasant. "I hated my teacher, and the castle was dark, damp, and depressing back then," he admits. His fascination with castles began through his love of Tintin comics. "I grew up reading Tintin, and in one of the books, he and Professor Calculus sold an invention and bought a castle. I remember thinking I wanted to live there." That childhood dream materialized on September 11th, 1999, when he purchased the castle for €1,458,459, approximately $1.9 million at the time. The historic structure was divided into multiple sections when Rieu acquired it. For many years, Rieu performed on a 1667 Stradivarius violin, crafted when Antonio Stradivari was just beginning his legendary career. "I used to play on the 1667 Stradivarius, an instrument the man made during his engagement with his future wife," Rieu explains with emotion in his voice. The same love he felt for her he somehow put in that instrument. You can hear that. Acquiring such a rare instrument wasn't simple, even for someone of Rieu's stature. "You really need to break into the violin world. It's a small world. Only 3 or 4 people determined that over the whole world." He explains about the exclusive network of dealers and collectors. Once word spread that he was in the market for a Stradivarius, opportunities emerged from unexpected places. They came like flies to honey. It was unbelievable. I did nothing. They came from the other side of the world with violins saying, "Come play." As his success grew, so did his collection. In recent years, Rieu upgraded to an even rarer 1732 Stradivarius violin, which explains why media reports sometimes mention different dates. He has owned both instruments at different periods. The value of these violins is staggering. A typical Stradivarius easily commands a few million euros, with the most valuable specimens selling for much more. The world's most expensive violin, the Lady Blunt Stradivarius, sold for over 15 million euros, giving some indication of what Rieu's instruments might be worth today. Rieu speaks about his violin with the tenderness of a long-term relationship. "A violin is really like a woman. She is unique. There are many women, but only one woman you love. With a violin, it is the same." This emotional bond illustrates that these instruments represent more than mere financial assets in his portfolio. Unlike many artists who focus solely on their craft and leave business matters to others, Rieu has built a comprehensive infrastructure to support his musical empire. He owns his recording studio, production company, and events business. Even more impressive, he maintains custom stage and costume workshops, ensuring complete creative control over every aspect of his performances. His musicians receive treatment that would make rock stars envious. The orchestra travels with a professional chef, has access to a fitness instructor, and rides in custom-made Mercedes-Benz buses. There's even a private kindergarten for parents in the orchestra, making it possible for musicians with young children to tour internationally. Rieu's annual Christmas concerts have become legendary, attracting 60,000 spectators worldwide. These massive productions feature elaborate sets, costumes, and special effects that transport audiences to a winter wonderland of musical delight. The business nearly faced disaster in 2008 when Rieu invested in an expensive replica of Vienna's Schönbrunn Palace as a stage set. The 1-to-1 scale reproduction cost millions and nearly bankrupted the operation when technical difficulties and transportation costs spiraled out of control. It was touch and go for a while, admits one of Rieu's longtime business associates. But André's resilience and business acumen helped us weather the storm. He made tough decisions, restructured some debts, and within 2 years we were back stronger than ever. While André Rieu stands in the spotlight, his family has played crucial roles in building and maintaining his empire. His wife Marjorie, whom he married in 1975, has been both his emotional anchor and a key business advisor throughout his career. Their 2 sons, Marc and Pierre, have also become integral to the family business. Marc Rieu studied management and now handles many of the day-to-day business operations, while Pierre has followed his father's artistic footsteps as a painter and producer. "Without my family, none of this would have been possible," Rieu often states in interviews. "They believed in me during those early years when others thought I was crazy to think people would pay to watch waltzes being performed." The family dynamic brings a personal touch to what has become a global enterprise. Staff members often comment on how the massive operation still feels like a family business, with André knowing every employee by name and taking a personal interest in their well-being. As André Rieu approaches his later years, questions about succession and inheritance naturally arise. While the exact value of his estate remains private, financial analysts estimate his personal fortune in the hundreds of millions of euros, encompassing his real estate holdings, instrument collection, business infrastructure, and intellectual property rights to his recordings. More significant than the monetary value, however, is the cultural legacy Rieu will leave behind. He has single-handedly revitalized interest in waltz music and brought classical compositions to audiences who might otherwise never set foot in a concert hall. "My greatest achievement isn't the money," Rieu insists. "It's seeing the joy on people's faces when they connect with this beautiful music. That's what I hope my children and grandchildren will remember. Not the size of their inheritance, but how we touched millions of lives together." During the COVID-19 pandemic in 2021, when his orchestra faced financial hardship due to canceled performances, Rieu demonstrated just how deeply he values his musical family over material wealth. "I would sell my Stradivarius to support my orchestra," he declared without hesitation. "It's my life's work, you see. Then I'll throw away my life that I've built up, and them along with me. We do it together." Fortunately, performances resumed before such drastic measures became necessary. But the statement revealed something profound about the man behind the fortune. That for André Rieu, the true wealth has always been in the music and the people who help him create it. As audiences worldwide continue to flock to his concerts, purchase his recordings, and watch his television specials, the André Rieu musical empire shows no signs of slowing down. The fortune that will one day pass to his family continues to grow, ensuring that the Rieu name will remain synonymous with musical excellence and entrepreneurial success for generations to come. "When I'm gone," Rieu once reflected during a quiet moment, "I hope people will say, 'He made classical music smile again.' That would be worth more than all the castles and violins in the world." And with the financial foundation he has established, his family will have every resource needed to ensure that the music and the smiles continue long after the maestro plays his final note.